Hello and welcome everyone. In today's lecture, we will talk about Taylor's scientific management. To understand Taylor's scientific management, we need to classify it into two types. One is Taylor's scientific principles and then the other is Taylor's scientific techniques. In today's class, we will talk about principles. In the next class, we will talk about the techniques of Taylor's scientific management. So first, before we get into the principles, we need to understand the concept of mass production. What is meant by mass production, which is I have also highlighted assembly line here. Previously, when they had to manufacture a car or heavy equipment, 3 to 5 people will be working in a factory, in a small sized garage type factory, and all of them will be focused on making one car at a time. Now, what is the problem with this? What is wrong with this? Because first thing, it will take a lot of time to manufacture a car. Maybe it will take 2 times to make a full car. And also, all the people who worked in making the car should be so educated. They should be well versed with the mechanics of whatever that happens in making a car. But what happens when you do a mass production? What happens when the cars were made by assembly line? So if you can see, this is an example of an assembly line. You can see at the same time multiple cars are made. So what they did in assembly line, they noted down all the tiny steps that are considered in order to make a car, and then they segregated it from one person to the other, and then they made it like a running assembly line. So at the same time, multiple cars will be, the process of making multiple cars will be started at the same time, and lots of people will be employed in that assembly line. And you would have already seen probably some videos of assembly line. The employees are responsible for making only 2 to 3 actions. Some people will be just responsible for affixing the door, some people will be just responsible for tightening the bolts and everything. You get the idea. So this means that nobody needs to be expert in making car or anything, because nobody needs to do the entire process from end to end. So they just need to be doing 2 to 3 actions at a time. So they will be, it is easy to train them as well. So that's the advantage of mass production. Now, Taylor had done a big contribution in converting the solo production into mass production in the United States, and from there it spread across the world. Taylor's lifetime was the mid 1800s. So today AI is a big revolution that we see, isn't it? 200 years ago, going from solo production into mass production was the hot thing at that time. So you have to always think about, now today if you see mass production or assembly line, it might look very obvious for you. But 200 years ago, this was like a big revolution. So on that background, let's get into Taylor's scientific principles. So 4 principles are there: science, not rule of thumb; harmony, not discard; cooperation, not individualism; and development of each person to their fullest ability. Okay, so the first point is science, not rule of thumb. What is it? Taylor wanted to do everything scientifically. He wanted to have a proper beginning of a process and an official end of the process, and he also wanted to note down everything that goes from beginning to the end, along with what all the steps that it takes and also the time that it takes to perform each and every step. So Taylor had the idea of there is a proper and scientific way to do everything. For example, let's say I am a carpenter and I do not follow any scientific principles in my production. You wanted a chair and you come and place an order for a chair. So I ask for the requirement and dimensions and everything, and then you ask me when the chair will be ready. I do not have any scientific idea on how I am going to produce this, right? How I am going to make this chair, right? So I will give you, just come back after 3 days. So that is rule of thumb. I don't know when I am exactly going to finish. I don't know when I am going to cut the wood, and I don't know when I am going to make it into a chair. I don't know when I am going to apply the varnish, and I don't know how long it is going to dry. So I actually don't know anything about making a chair accurately. I just know how to make it. So that is why I just said, okay, come back after 3 days. So it's an estimation. But had I applied Taylor's scientific principles, I would have started documenting the process, and then I will say, okay, it will take exactly half an hour for me to cut, maybe half a day for me to fit it into a chair, and then it will take 1 hour to polish it, and then it will take 1 day to dry. So exactly it will take 48 hours, and I will say come back after 2 days. It will be ready in 2 days instead of 3 days. Now this is how scientific management works. Now I have given an example here, McDonald's time management for order processing. They have done this in McDonald's outlets. They know exactly, even to the last second, how long it will take to get an order processed. From the time the order is heard from the customer and it will be communicated to the kitchen, till the time it will be given to the hands of the buyer. They know exactly how long it should take. Even inside the kitchen, they keep everything in perfect place so that it takes the shortest time to pick the stuffing, to pick the burger, to fry and everything, and roll it into a wrap, and then give it to the delivery counter. They measure everything to the last second. So that's the example that I wanted to give. You can Google this later, or you can YouTube about this, how exactly order processing works inside McDonald's. You will even know everything came from this Taylor's work only. Okay, now the second point is harmony, not discord. So, and the third point is cooperation, not individualism. I want to cover these two together because they are similar things. Back in the day, there used to be a huge amount of dispute. Even today, the dispute between management and the workers exist, but back in the day, it used to exist even to a larger extent. Now, Taylor believed that if management and workers don't go with each other, it is going to create a lot of inefficient processes, and it is going to waste a lot of time, it is going to waste a lot of resources. Nobody is going to win in that way. So he believed that workers and the management should go hand in hand together to create a good productive output. And so what should be done? What are the solution Taylor proposed to achieve this objective? He said that if management makes good profits, management should share that profit generously with the workers so that they feel well remunerated. At the same time, workers should also come to the factory on time, should not waste their time idling and chit-chatting, and not take unnecessary leave, and try to give their best output every day for the pay that they receive. That way, both management and workers can gain. So that is harmony and not discord. Now, what is about cooperation and individualism? Cooperation and individualism talks about, again, management should not think that they are the only one, that they are better. At the same time, workers also should not think that they are the only thing that they are better. Again, both should work in a cooperative manner. More importantly, management should adopt this paternalistic style. What is this paternalistic style? Which means management generally has more money and more power in society, right? Workers are the ones who are kind of financially not so rich. So what management should do, they should act like a father figure and should take care of the employees. They should give them sometimes salary advance, they should give them some loan, they should give them some insurance. A lot of staff welfare mechanisms are there, and management should be willing to do that to the employees. Today, in many companies in India, there are lots of staff welfare schemes that you can see both in manufacturing companies and in service sector companies. So, and also the other point Taylor insists is that employees should be present while management takes any decision. So, management should not do anything in isolation. They should bring employees also into a decision making process, so they should feel that they are also participating in the collective growth, that they are not left out. And the example that I want to give in India's context is Tata's staff welfare program. So I had the opportunity to go to Jamshedpur like 15 years ago for my during my articleship for an audit. So there I saw how Tata Nagar exactly looks, where it's like a quarters of all the Tata employees. I could visibly see the difference between the roads inside Tata Nagar and roads outside Tata Nagar in the normal Jamshedpur area, and how water and electricity used to be inside Tata Nagar. So it's like a separate district inside the larger district. I want to say that because to that extent, Tata, entire Tata group takes care of their employees very well. So that's the example. You can also Google about this later. The last point in Taylor's scientific principles is development of each person to his or her greatest efficiency and prosperity. The connecting point to this concept is what we saw in the first chapter in objectives of management, and third objective was personal objectives, right? So management should not just focus on profits, the company's profit or company's growth. Management should also focus on whether employees are growing in their career or not. Are they learning? Are they growing in their career? Are they building their skills? So in modern day context, a lot of companies invest in educational programs on their employees. They encourage the employees to go and learn some software programs, go and learn. Companies, service sector companies ask employees these days to go and learn data science, and they will sponsor the course. Or nowadays companies are asking employees to go and learn AI, so that the employees, if they become skilled in AI, they will use that learning into companies work, and that thereby they can do the work much faster. Ultimately it will also benefit the company also. Both the parties get the benefit here, because employee can put in his or her resume that they have learned that skill, and the company also gets benefited because employee can ultimately apply that skill to the company's process, thereby things get done faster. So these are the principles of Taylor's scientific management. In the next class we'll talk about the techniques of Taylor's scientific management. Thank you and bye bye.